One of the things I've talked about for a long time on this show is that corporate media is packed full of, number one, folks who aren't that bright. I'm trying to phrase it in a kind way. There's a filtration system, and usually you only get promoted if they know you're not going to rock the boat too much, if they know you're going to repeat the narratives that they want you to repeat. And so that's how you end up with people like Wolf Blitzer in high positions, and he's on for roughly 48 hours a day. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is they're really unscrupulous and vapid, and they have no qualms about the way the system works, how it's funded. On a lot of the Sunday shows, you literally see commercials for like defense contractors, and then they cut back from the break, and then they have conversations about foreign policy, where shock, everybody's pro-war. And this dynamic exists across all of the big media outlets. Well, here we have an example that's like extra egregious because it just shows you that this stuff doesn't matter to them. So Sean Hannity, and this isn't on his radio show, not even on his TV show. On his radio show, he was talking about Afghanistan, and towards the end of his segment, he said this.
All right, 800-941-SEAN is our number. You want to be a part of the program. Listen, there is a stampede, not only out of Afghanistan, but a stampede away from high prices, overpriced service from the big carriers like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. The average family making the switch to Pure Talk. Now, they offer the exact same coverage using the exact same cell towers, and the average family is saving nearly $1,000 a year for the exact same service.
Imagine how big of a corporate tool you have to be to do that. Seriously, think about it. Imagine how little you care. How little you care about what's going on in Afghanistan to casually, nonchalantly, flippantly do an ad like that. I'm telling you, he doesn't care about this stuff. He doesn't care. He's a robot that spews right-wing talking points. That's it. That's it. And, who was it that told me the story? Somebody told me the story that, like, off-air, Hannity's actually the nicest of everybody and of all the people in corporate media, but he also is the one who's the most acting. So he, doesn't really mean anything he says. And look at this. He's a human billboard. He's just a puppet for whatever corporate interests want to push. How could you bring yourself to do that? Guys, doing ads alone, I think is kind of gross unless you really, really believe in the product. But imagine doing an ad and weaving in the awkward transition about what's happening in Afghanistan. By the way, this isn't the only one he did. He did it again. So for Media Matters, Brendan Carrot said the following: Sean Hannity plugs MyPillow to Americans with families stuck in Kabul. So Sean said on his radio show, "How would you like to be in Kabul today as an American and you can't get to the airport? Where are you thinking your life is headed? If you're one of those family members, I bet you're not sleeping. I don't even think MyPillow can do it. MyPillow.com, that's where I go. I fall asleep faster. I stay asleep longer. These are going to be a lot of sleepless nights for so many of our fellow Americans. We've got to get them home." How do you even respond to this? For anybody who actually likes Fox News and takes them seriously and watches them or enjoys Sean Hannity, the three of them in total that'll watch this video, really? You don't see how scummy this is? How gross this is? How vapid this is? How little he cares about what's actually happening in the world? You know what? Guilty. I care. I'm actually interested in what's happening in the world, and I want to try, in whatever tiny way a YouTube show has the ability to do it, but I want to try to make the world a little bit better and tell you guys how I see things and, describe how I think we can improve. And, I actually care about this shit. Sean Hannity doesn't give a fuck, son, very clearly. He's just a corporate tool. He's a human billboard. And like I said, reading ads alone is sort of gross enough, but doing it in this way, it hits a level of shamelessness that I didn't know was possible. Seriously, I have to say, one of the things I'm super proud of is that to this day, I've been doing this full time since like late 2012. To this day, I have never had a conversation with an advertiser. Not once. Not once. Obviously, the only thing that happened is where the Big Seltzer meme comes from, where I was coughing on air one time and I chugged some seltzer next to me and I said, I promise this isn't an ad. And then I joked around and said, but it might as well be. Try vintage seltzer. And then what happened was somebody who watched the show, I wish I could give credit to this person. I don't remember who did it. But somebody who watched the show tweeted that clip at Vintage Seltzer. And Vintage was like, that's awesome. We're going to send this guy some free seltzer. And so then they sent me some free seltzer. By the way, it genuinely was phenomenal. Like, there were discontinued flavors, like pineapple flavor seltzer, strawberry flavored seltzer. Oh, it was good. I was upset that it was discontinued, seriously. But, so that's the only sort of interaction I've had. And it was obviously, it all started from a joke and it became a meme. But I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. To this day, I've never had a conversation with an advertiser, and I pride myself on that. And when you have a show that's the size that this show is, when you have a show that's the size that Crystal Kyle and Friends is, a lot of advertisers would give a lot of money for me to push their stuff or read an ad or even just run an ad. Obviously, we're part of the YouTube program, so what that means is there's a buffer between myself and Google and YouTube, and they have their own ad stuff where they talk to them and then they run them on the channel. But again, there's a big buffer there, so I've never had a conversation with anybody, any advertiser, and I really do take pride in that. And with Crystal Kyle and Friends, we even went above and beyond. Like, this is the polar opposite of Sean Hannity. What we do for Crystal Kyle and Friends is we even turn off the YouTube ads. So we don't even run those. And if you do happen to every now and then see an ad, it's because Google basically forces us to have it, and so they take their cut, so they'll run ads just for themselves, but we see none of that. Every time we upload a KKF video, we click demonetize on purpose. We turn off the monetization. And so that's why with that way, we told you guys we want to build something different. We want to build something more pure. We want to have nothing to do with any advertisers whatsoever, and that's why you guys pay the $5 a month to get the video version when, that's basically tipping us because all of you can get the audio version for free. We still have it for free for everybody. The extra little thing you get is the video and a day early if you pay the $5. But, point I'm trying to make is these things matter. These things matter. And, there's a way to do it that is more ethical and more just and more thoughtful and more honest with the audience. And then there's Sean Hannity and what he's doing here. And this is a level of scummy advertising that I don't know if I've ever seen it this bad. I mean, there's a lot of stuff advertising-wise that I sort of wince at and I don't like, but this is as bad as it gets. Casually talking about the tragedy in Afghanistan and just linking it to some shitty product that you're trying to hawk. It's just, he's totally soulless. He doesn't care. He's all about the money and being an actor and playing a role. And at this point, I think anybody can see through it. And, I mean, if you watch this segment and you still think oh, it's cool what he's doing, there's no getting through to you. So it is what it is. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.